Yes, everything's going to be declassified, and more, much more than what you just mentioned. It'll all be declassified, and I'm glad I waited, because I thought that maybe they would obstruct if I did it early, and I think I was right. So I'm glad I waited, and now the Attorney General can take a very strong look at whatever it is, but it will be...
Washington, D.C. is now best seen as two opposing and warring camps. On the one side, the president and his allies are waking up to the fact that the coup conducted for the past 3 years against the Trump presidency was undertaken on behalf of a very powerful group of people who were brazen and very incompetent in their effort to reverse the result of the 2016 election. They have exposed themselves. This powerful apparatus, misnamed the DeepState by those who don't know their history, runs the other camp, inhabited by stay-behind Republicans who are overtly or covertly never Trumpers, or Democrats who now bear no resemblance to the party of Franklin Roosevelt or John F. Kennedy, but instead represent something akin to a sexual and racial identity-obsessed SDS collective from 1968 who have suddenly found themselves deeply in love with both the FBI and the CIA. Many people in both camps have no real idea why this war has taken place, or what is actually at stake. Now the issue is, will the population outside of Washington, D.C. and our failing coasts catch up to who the people were who led this coup and why they ingested it, so they can bring the other 40% of the population who still believes that President Trump was elected as a result of the Russians stealing the 2016 election, back from what might appear to be hopeless insanity, a fairy tale, a made-up witch hunt. No more listening to the people that are ignorant to all the facts involved. We're going to cover some of those. Use your discernment. Make up your own mind. Use the facts and come to a good conclusion based off that. With Democrats now launching an all-out and desperate attack against President Trump's Attorney General William Barr, with signs emerging over the past few weeks that the deep state traitors may indeed finally face justice for their attempted coup against President Trump. And we'll take a look at some new evidence that all coup roads, lead back to Barack Obama, and that it is time for the coup plotters to be held accountable. As the Gateway Pundit reports in this news story that Steve Quayle had linked on his website Monday morning, the latest former Obama official to launch failing attacks upon Barr is former Obama AG Eric Holder, who called Barr not fit to lead the DOJ. That despite the fact that Barr led the DOJ for George H.W. Bush from 91 to 93, how did he suddenly become unfit to lead the DOJ, after also being confirmed by the Senate just months ago? Now, Eric Holder has previously described himself as Obama's wingman. Holder accused Barr of protecting President Trump and asserted that the Attorney General started his probe of Intel/FBI for political reasons. AG Barr has deliberately misrepresented the Mueller report. He has started examinations of the conduct of the Intel and FBI personnel without a predicate for political reasons. He is protecting the president. He does not stand up for the good of the people he leads. He is not fit to lead the DOJ. Actually, it sounds like Barr may be the perfect person to lead the DOJ, which long ago sold out the American people to protect the Clinton crime family. According to this news story from DC Whispers, newly discovered evidence suggests that none other than Barack Obama had conspired with foreign powers to overthrow President Trump. As PJ Media has reported, in what must have been a very surprise move to Obama's deep state, Giuseppe Conte, the Prime Minister of Italy, recently fired top management of 3 Italian intelligence agencies, reporting that the moves were being looked at as the Conte government's response to previous government's coordinated surveillance activity with the U.S. intelligence officials during the 2016 election. They went on to report that all of this points directly at no other than, you guessed it, former CIA head John Brennan. And all the infighting between the former U.S. intelligence heads lately, that all hints that this is all very true, and the walls are closing in as the tables have turned. So just this past week, Comey attacked Brennan, and then Brennan attacked back. Now Italy appears to be disclosing Brennan as a primary player in the failed coup attempt against President Trump. Does anyone believe such a thing could have taken place without Barack Obama's knowledge and approval? No way. With a very real coup attempt by Obama's deep state on President Trump, thankfully exposed and hopefully soon prosecuted, President Trump may have a potent new tool in his hands to do just that. As we read in this news story from the Daily Caller, multiple senior officials have stated that President Trump plans on invoking the Insurrection Act, last invoked by George H.W. Bush in 1992 to quell the Los Angeles riots. Could the 1807 Act also be used by President Trump to round up enemies of America within? We're doing the Insurrection Act, one official said in the story. Under the Insurrection Act of 1807, the president has the authority to use a National Guard and military in order to combat unlawful obstruction or rebellion within U.S. borders. The act was last invoked in 1992 by George H.W. Bush to quell the Los Angeles riots, and was also used by Eisenhower in '57 to enforce school desegregation in the South. An official expressed concerns that Trump's use of the Act's powers would face legal challenges, pointing to its lawsuits against the presidential's travel ban from the majority Muslim countries. However, as we must note, that travel ban ultimately prevailed in the Supreme Courts. Should President President Trump used the Insurrection Act to round up all of the enemies of America within. Now, some people have reported it should be very clear to President Trump by now that there is an open rebellion against his presidency. So it must be clear that President Trump now recognizes that the open rebellion against America being committed by the governor of California, mayors of all these sanctuary cities, and the fake news journo terrorists who are brainwashing Americans to hate their own country. The ongoing land invasion of the United States of America is an act of war being openly supported by Democrats and leftists who are using illegal immigration to nullify U.S. voters and overrun the United States with anti-American militants, criminals, and terrorists. It has also become obvious over the past few months that tech giants are waging a coordinated conspiracy to nullify U.S. elections and crush democracy by selectively silencing all conservative voices on the dominant online platforms. This is a legal conspiracy pursued by Facebook, Twitter, Google, Apple, and other tech giants. It represents an online insurrection against the United States of America, which is why I have repeatedly called for the deployment of military police to arrest the CEOs of all of these tech companies and force the platforms to respect the First Amendment liberties of the American people. It is time for President Trump to deploy the military police to arrest Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey. And that's just the start of what needs to happen to restore our democracy and to keep our republic and the freedom to speak. All of the traitors within must be identified, detained, and removed from power by authorized force before they succeed in destroying this nation. Corrupt liberal judges who defy the president's efforts to secure the U.S. border, it is time to arrest corrupt anti-American judges and remove them from power. Journo terrorists who pretend to be journalists but are actually anti-American traitors spreading lies, hatred, and insanity to indoctrinate liberals and leftists, whipping them up into an attempted cultural revolution that has literally driven millions of leftists to the point of mass mental illness. CEOs and top managers, the ones that haven't stepped down and resigned yet, of all the tech giants, which have now sold out to the communist China and are using their power to selectively silence pro-American voices across all search engines, social media, and online platforms. These tech giants must be occupied and either shut down or forced to respect a level playing field of online speech. Antifa terrorists and other radical left-wing groups that promise an armed insurrection to attempt to overthrow the United States of America. We cannot allow this. DeepState operatives who conspired to carry out a political coup against President Trump, to name a few, James Comey, Robert Mueller, John Brennan, etc., so on, so forth. Liberal university professors who use their positions of influence to actively recruit students into domestic terrorism organizations such as Antifa. It has long been warned that any arrest of these deep state treasonists might be the final straw that pushed the rapidly maddening left over the edge. And as we see within the conclusion to our story, that immediately there's going to be more leftist violence immediately upon us, people, getting arrested and going down. We've been seeing that. And there's going to be violence propagated up by the left when these arrests go down against law-abiding conservatives, Christians, and President Trump supporters in general. Once Trump initiates the Insurrection Act, the lawless, deranged left will immediately declare Trump to be a military dictator, while calling for leftists to take to the streets in armed rebellion against the rule of law. Leftists will open fire on Trump supporters, bomb government buildings, and attempt to execute police officers and National Guard troops, which are deployed to defend America. Pro-Trump Americans need to be prepared to defend themselves against the violence of the lawless left. The radical left is an authoritarian, anti-American cult that also has demonstrated its dangerous lawlessness by censoring all online speech that opposes the deranged delusions of the progressive left. This is an indicator of their true intent: total authoritarian rule, complete with speech police and the elimination of those opposing views. The left has zero intention of respecting the rule of law, the Bill of Rights, or any election laws whatsoever. Every election from this day forward with them will be stolen or fraudulently altered by the leftists who truly hate America and despise all pro-American patriots. It is time for President Trump to deploy the military police to arrest and remove from power all of these people in government who are actively engaged in acts of treason, sedition, voter fraud. The California political leaders must be arrested and prosecuted for running a massive voter fraud conspiracy that attempts to steal elections from real American citizens. We're near the end of May of 2019, and June should bring the expected release of the IG's report on the FISA abuse investigation. We pray that everybody is ready for whatever may come, as mainstream media induced madness swept over the land as Americans finally got a real taste of reality TV. This will be the real thing. No scripts, no rehearsals, just a gang of criminals pointing their fingers at each other. It is important that President Trump knows that American people have his back as we plow through this absolutely crucial moment in American history. It is crucial that President Trump knows he has widespread support from the American people. All of this is about to go down. It is crucial that President Trump knows he has widespread support from all the American people to take the actions necessary to defend this nation from its domestic enemies. I took the oath, foreign or domestic. We the people will be tasked with supporting these efforts as Trump works to clean house and root out the treasonous traitors who are conspiring to destroy our great nation. It is ultimately on our shoulders. It is our responsibility. But if we all succeed, we may once again restore democracy and save the republic and the rule of law to America. If we fail, America fails to the authoritarian tyrants, and the nation will be deliberately dismantled and fed to the globalists. We are now fighting for our lives. We are blessed to have Donald J. Trump as our president, as America faces off against treasonous actors, deep state traitors, and authoritarian globalists who despise this nation and what it stands for. Be ready to literally fight for our survival and the defense of our great nation. The end game has arrived, and California will be the front lines in the coming war. This is Michael from the Patriot Hour. God bless each and every one of you worldwide. Where we go one, we go all. Dark to light does not come without a fight. And remember, no deals, only pain.